the NoFruitPodcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Maurice.
And this is Kafa.
We thank you for tuning in today. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, welcome back. Hope you're enjoying your life, enjoying your day, enjoying your week. And I hope that you really, truly enjoyed today's episode. So, Maurice,
Yes.
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So you were watching something on TV the other day when I walked in, and I guess it was the title or logo or something, caught my eye. I don't know what it was or whatever. I was walking through the room. And again, like I said, the logo caught my eye. The logo basically said, I think, well off. Well off. And it just triggered something with me with my childhood. I was like, wow, I haven't heard that phrase in quite some time, but I used to hear it a lot when I was younger. You know, that, oh, that person's well off, or, oh, look at that couple, they're well off. But I don't hear that anymore. But as I was, again, passing through, I kind of coupled well off with, is it wealthy? Like, what truly was well off? And the definition of it. What did they mean when they said, oh, that person or that couple is well off? And again, what does it mean in reference to being wealthy? Is it the same or is it different? Those types of things. So in my thoughts, well, first I'll ask you, what do you think? Have you heard well off before?
Yeah, I have. But go ahead. You can continue. You got it.
I got you.
I know.
Okay.
So we're well off.
We are well, yeah, I guess we're well off. So I do think that there is a difference. And, you know, we've talked before about the difference for being wealthy and being rich. And now this phrase of well off came across my mind or across our screen. So for me, I think there is a difference. I think, hey, you can be well off without being wealthy.
I would agree.
I don't know if like well off is a step before wealth or.
So in my opinion, excuse me, I think it depends on the your background, what you've been accustomed to. You know, so right now I think because of you hear so much financial you hear so many financial terms and ideologies and things like that, you know, to hear the term well off, well, what is well off?
Well, that's what I was
You
saying.
know,
Yeah.
because the thought, like maybe back in the day, you know, someone making $50,000, you know, back then maybe is the equivalent of 125 today. You know, so based off of, well, you know, what was it? The everyday expenses, bread, eggs, you know. I mean, look, you know, you can get a dozen eggs for $8, $10 right now, you know. So, you know, back then when you could get a dozen eggs for way cheaper than that. And for those of y'all who actually remember, you could actually break the egg box in half, you know,
Get
back in
half
the
a
day.
dozen.
You know, so I remember that. So I do believe that when you talk about being well off, if you were someone who did not have to go to the shelters or the places to get food, or you know your clothes were not you know second hand, because in all reality, when I look at old school pictures and things like that, it's very hard to look at someone to say, hey, they had no money, because for the most part, everybody wore the same thing ish, same style, if you
Right.
will. You know, right now, because it's hard to say who's wearing what. And then on top of that, If they are wearing something name brand, you could kind of question like, all right, well, did you get that from the actual store? Did you get it from, so for an example, for those of you who don't know, I really like Ralph Lauren polo, right? So the question is, did I get my polo shirt from Ralph Lauren or Lauren, depending on your lingo? Did I get it from someplace like Nordstrom? Did I get it from Macy's? Or did I get it from Marshall's? Or did I get it from Goodwill? So those are 5 different places off the top of your head that, you would question where I would have gotten my clothes from. I think back in the day, it was hard to tell if everyone had on a button-down shirt and some dress pants. That's just my opinion, right? So when you look at someone being well off, even when people talk about, hey, you know what, I wore the shoes, I wore them all the way out, you can almost look at those individuals and say, hey, you know what, you're either doing well or you're not. Right now, I think it's such a medium, or everyone can look alike. It's hard to really tell if someone is well off or not.
I think, for myself, I think well off, again, from hearing my ancestors or my grandparents and things like that, when they would say,
Ancestors.
That's right. When they would say, oh, somebody's well off, I think that generation, well off to them was owning a home. That established something for them. For my mother's generation, it was to have a good job, a good paying job. And then I think for our generation, we just here. I don't know. But as looking at, like you're saying, Maurice, in reference to what we had when we were growing up, and yes, there was a distinctive style, if you will. You can look at somebody and know they're from the 80s. You can look at somebody and know that they're dressed from the 90s. But I don't know what is going to happen when our grandkids come up and like, oh, we got to dress like we from 2020. Because they wear everything and anything. We talk about this at work sometimes with my coworkers, like there is no real true style. You can wear whatever you want. You can wear skinny pants. You can wear baggy pants. You can wear rundown shoes. Like that's the style. Like you're buying pants with holes in them.
Right.
You're not,
right.
Like you just said, your shoes run out, but like, no, they're selling shoes with holes in them already.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to tell.
So how do you know you're well off?
So I just looked it up, y'all. And per Google, it says something that if that individual can buy what they want.
Okay.
So just from a generic answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you just stated, hey, if you have a decent paying job, it appears to be that you're well off.
Right. You can buy what you want. If you,
right.
Hey, it's time to buy some more milk.
Right.
And, $8 eggs.
Right.
You can do it.
Right.
It's no trying to figure it out and bat an eye over it. You can take care of that.
Right. So I think that's the difference now, that it's hard to tell who is well off and who isn't, because, just in my opinion, because as I just mentioned, just from that name brand, you can buy it in multiple places.
Right. Well, years ago, you didn't have all of that.
Right. Right. So, and then the other part is, you don't know who, because you made a statement, that person had a good paying job. Mm-hmm. So everyone knew you worked for the telephone company. Everyone knew that you worked for the electric company. Everybody knew that you was a salesperson. Like everybody knew, for the most part, what your job was. You could look at people today and you'd be like, wow.
You're a doctor?
Right. Right. You could look at someone and say, wow, you know what, do you really have a job? What are you doing? Like, how are you making ends meet or whatever it is? And not knowing that they have a business on the side, they have some type of affiliate marketing program, that they are actually authors or, whatever, or they are a handyman. They have a billion side jobs. Like, it's hard to tell what people are doing nowadays, per se, unless unless they just walk in their coveralls and it has the name of the company plastered all over their body.
Right, but even with that, like you said, hey, we have clothes with companies plastered over them, but it's not that we work for them.
Right.
It
Right.
was, hey, Maurice, you did such a great job on this project. Take a T-shirt along with,
Right.
your check and stuff like that. But,
Right.
So it's kind of hard just because I'm wearing a logo or a brand from a company doesn't necessarily mean that I work for that pizza company.
So an example would be if I this was my fault, um, but when you go into a certain store and you have on a certain color, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I was mistaken for someone that worked at Target.
Right.
Especially in the very beginning. Now, sometimes, I thought it was kind of rude. You get what I mean? But
They wouldn't even ask, do you work here? They just
right.
like, where's the such and such?
I'm like, how am I supposed to know? They're like, oh, my fault, my fault. Well,
You don't work here?
Right.
Obviously not, because I'm telling you I don't know where it is.
Right.
But yeah.
So I think that's the difference right now. You really don't know who's where or whatever. And then,
like even with that, like you're saying, like that has even changed. I recall when I worked retail many, 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 many years ago, we had to wear smocks. And, like we had, and we didn't take them home. I don't think. I think we had to leave them there. I'm not sure. But you would come in and you would put your smock on or your apron or whatever it was. And that identified you as an employee. Some places, you wear name badges. But like you said, at a store like Target, everyone just kind of flows together with their uniform, not saying Target. It's just the basic red shirt and khakis.
Right.
Right. Just like some other places.
I mean, Best Buy, very similar.
I think they have a logo on their shirt. Well, they used to.
Target does too, but again, it all depends.
I thought Target, they could just wear any red and khakis. Like, I haven't seen a Target logo. They might have a name tag depending on it, but.
I guess maybe it's the name tag.
Yeah.
I mean, because like the T-shirt, yeah, I guess it's just a T-shirt.
Oh, no, because I've seen so many different red type tops. I was just like, you get to wear that?
Right.
Wow.
I mean, even another store until recently was IKEA.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many different stores that I could think of where I don't recall seeing an actual logo on their shirt. The only ones that I think you could still kind of see wearing a smock, if you will, maybe Walmart.
Right.
And the only reason why I said that because I saw somebody with that on the other
right,
night.
But the smocks are usually the supervisors.
I understand it, but it was just funny because the guy he had come into Walmart and he was bringing in like 15 hoagies, to his job, so well, yeah, it could have been a party, but it was 7:30. It was the other night when I had gone and got the hoagies for us. I'm sorry. Do y'all know what Wawa is? Are we well off because we can go get a Wawa hoagie?
Yes.
I guess we are. So again,
because you can get what you want.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to cook.
Well, here's the thing. So what happens if you want something that's a little grander than Wawa? Then are you well off?
Mm-hmm.
So.
But then you're not, I guess, according to your definition, you're not, because now you're not able to get what you want.
But all right, so here's the thing. Who normally says someone is well off? I personally have never heard someone talk about themselves in third person or first person saying that they were well off. Hey, y'all, did y'all know that Maurice is well off? I'm well off. Like, I've never heard that. I've heard someone else express that.
Right. That other person.
You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. So how would that individual know that I did not want a Wawa hoagie? It was, it's still $5 Hoagie Fest, whatever it is, even though it didn't show up on the app like that when I bought them. But who said I wanted, I didn't want Wendy's. And Wendy's sometimes is high between Wendy's and Burger King. You get what I mean? Huh? Why are you laughing?
Because You're funny.
because I'm not well off enough to go get it.
If you want to stand and wait in line, because those places have long lines.
Oh yeah, they do.
But I think again, when it comes to, like you said, nobody says I'm well off. They may say, "Oh, that person is well off," but what about wealthy? Does people say, "Oh, I'm wealthy," or do they just sit in it?
Um. All right. So if someone has the money, who are they? Who would talk about them? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think to some degree, we're just talking out loud. We don't have anything that we're saying, hey, it has to be this, that, and the other. This is just our initial thoughts, and feel free to always chime in and say something on a
Ding!
comment
I'm
or
chiming
whatever.
in.
You get what I mean? Um, but I think that when you have money, and Carv, I had looked at a video about that, talking about money and costs and yada yada yada. Are they really saying I'm more well off than you? Or is it assumed just because you're in this room, you are well off?
Or wealthy, because now we're talking about wealth.
Well, no,
Oh.
I'm just gonna leave it at well off.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when people know exactly who, when they know your name, then they understand your real status. So for an example, when I had looked at that TV show, and I can't remember if we talked about it. I think we did, where we mentioned people that's in the 1%, and the 1%ers are those that are worth, that make over $250,000 a year per this video. So even in that space of making $250,000 a year versus those that are billionaires, again, they're 1%ers, right? But there, even in that, there's a difference of those that are still collecting a check from an employer, which they actually said in this video, normally those are those individuals from 250,000 up to $9 million a year. More than likely, those individuals will start collecting checks. Those that are above that are not. And each level or set of money, if you will, so 250 to a million and a million to 10 million and 10 million and above, well, 10 million to 100 and then 100 was whatever. So so these individuals that are still collecting checks cannot get into rooms with these individuals that are making $100 million. And then when people that's at $100 million, or that's their worth, their net worth, they are envious still of those that are billionaires. And then, but the cycle is, hey, you know what? Just because I have it and I'm well off, well, do you understand that you could still go in, those of you that's not in this position, well, y'all can still go to the movies. It's a cycle. Everybody's looking up in their own special way.
Mm-hmm.
So to some degree, for those that are not, making, or that's not worth $1 billion, even though that's what's always thrown in your face, well, do you understand that those that are in that stratosphere, quote unquote, are still looking up at you because you could live a regular life.
Mm-hmm.
You can drive.
They consider you well off because you can mix with the regular community. You can go to the movies and, don't have to purchase the whole movie because it's going to be issues by you being there.
Right.
You can go to the market and pick out your own fruits and vegetable.
Right. Or look, just having a just a date with your loved one. Kaf and I, we had some moments where, you know what? It's only 10:30. Let's run to the restaurant and go have a snack real quick. Right? So if people knew that we were podcasters and we were, well off, will we have been able to do that?
Right. So your spur of the moment is robbed from you.
Right.
Or could be.
Right.
Depending.
The only perk of that would be, oh, it's 10:30, but I really want this. So you know what? Somebody, Roger, won't you go and call, Lewis, because, I want my jet or my helicopter ready to go hither and yon. And, eat in a whole nother country 2 hours later. I mean, I would love to have that type of experience, but I don't know if I could deal with that every day.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? I don't know if I could deal with what appeared to be loneliness, because they say, hey, you know what? Those individuals don't know who to trust.
Right.
So how fun is that in all reality?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you think about it, right? It doesn't sound fun.
Right. So you have the ability, again, going back to your definition of well off,
Right.
being able to get what you want, purchase what you want to purchase. But if you are, a multi-billionaire
Mm-hmm.
and you want, a cheesecake from the local bakery,
Right.
but you don't regularly go there, so are you questioning that? Are they putting something in my cheesecake? This tastes a little bit
Right,
different than it
right.
did before.
Right.
Hey, if you're going to go fly to Italy to have dessert, are you questioning, the pilot? Are you questioning,
Right.
your chauffeur when you get there? Are
Right.
you questioning, the chef that bakes, so because you may think, you can get in your head and think that people are trying to knock you out,
Right.
and
Right.
take you out.
Right.
So yes, it differs at each one of those levels. I agree with you. So those who are billionaires may not feel as though they're well off. And as you're stating, they may look at someone who is average
Mm-hmm.
or middle class
Mm-hmm.
as well off because they get to do so much for themselves.
Right. Right.
And a lot of things are, they have control of a lot of the things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people think that with the funds and with the finances that they have control of things. And I think at that point you're just kind of a passerby. Like everybody else is moving and shaking and you're just kind of moving behind it all.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other people that are like, okay, you're going to be here tomorrow and you're going to do this
Right.
and you're going to do that. And they're like, well, what if I don't
Right.
want to? I mean, you can certainly at that point say, hey, I'm not going to. But in order to sustain things and sustain everyone that you probably have on payroll, you got to get up and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So you may not be relying on a paycheck and living that way, as Marisa said, but you're relying on something.
Right. So the question is, is it, to go back to your original point of being called well off, I think everyone, for the most part, is well off. It's just the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are not necessarily in your pockets.
Right.
They don't know 100%.
Or just in your life.
Right.
Because you can be well off with health, but poor everything else. Because you could have poor health or be well off that way.
But I mean, again, health is relative.
Mm-hmm.
Being well off is relative. So I can sit here and say, you know what? I am well off with health, but not well off in anything else. But someone would see me smiling, laughing, not worried about having gas.
Oh my goodness.
Things like that. It'd be like, well, he's well off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was a little too much.
Yes.
Oh, I apologize.
Do you really?
No, not really, because my stomach is bubbling. Bubbling brown sugar. I'm sorry.
With that being said, thank you very much for listening.
Bubbling brown sugar.
I think Maurice needs to exit stage left.
Bubbling brown sugar.
Do y'all know about that song?
I'm going to tell y'all something now. That's the only line I know.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we're going to watch it now as soon as we get off.
Thank y'all for listening.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.